everybody. It's Daniel here, and welcome to the Emotional English Podcast, the podcast where we learn an English language effortlessly, emotionally, filled with energy, and of course, positively. Yep, welcome, everybody. So I'm finally back from my little vacation, family-style vacation to Upsea. So it was pretty good. I had some fun, and I had burned my skin, totally burned my skin, man. But doesn't matter, guys. Today we're going to continue our English learning process, right? And today I'm offering you to start with a little story from the website newsinlevels.com. So we're going to learn English today with some news. And the story will be about the man who collects old Apple devices. A man who collects old Apple devices. You know what is Apple device, right? It's not the apple what you eat, right? Which you eat every day. You know, an apple a day, keep the doctor away. So it's not that apple, okay? So it's the Steve Jobs creation, right? This company. So Apple company. And one of the man, he collects old Apple devices in Dubai, right? The guy from Dubai. And I'm picking the hardest one on the website. So there are 3 levels of this story. And we will learn the hardest one. Of course, it's not that hard. It's for intermediate students. But we're going to read this mini story step by step. We're going to discuss the new vocabulary. And we're going to learn something new. All right? And of course, I will ask you some questions just to double check your understanding of this little mini story, okay? And we will have 4 paragraphs here. Not a hard ones, not a big ones, but that's going to be pretty important ones, right? That's going to be pretty useful for us. And let's begin from the first paragraph. Paragraph number 1. So Dubai resident and enthusiast Jimmy Grewal has an impressive collection of around 200 Apple computers and accessories. All right? That's the first sentence and the first paragraph at the same time, right? Simultaneously. So we have Dubai resident and enthusiast. Who is Dubai resident? It's the person who lives in Dubai. And you can call this guy resident, right? So if you live in Moscow, so you're the resident of Moscow. If you live in New York, you're the resident of New York. I live in Garachi, Cluj. So what kind of resident am I? Am I a Moscow resident? No. Am I a Dubai resident? No. I am the Garachi, Cluj resident. And the guy, he is enthusiast. Enthusiast. Who is an enthusiast? The enthusiast is the guy who is obsessed with something, right? So this person obsessed with an idea or hobby, or this person is very interested in a particular activity or a subject. So like a big fan. Enthusiast, it's more advanced word for the word fan. So Dubai resident enthusiast Jimmy Grewal has an impressive collection of around 200 Apple computers and accessories. So Jimmy Grewal, doesn't matter. So Jimmy Grewal, he's an enthusiast and a resident of a specific zone. Which zone? Dubai, right? Dubai zone, Dubai city. So he's the Dubai resident and Dubai enthusiast. So what was his name? His name was Jimmy Grewal. So name is Jimmy, surname is Grewal. He has an impressive collection of something. Yes, he has an impressive collection of Apple devices. how many Apple devices he has. Jimmy has. Jimmy has 200 of Apple devices, Apple computers, and accessories. So what is the difference between Apple computer and Apple accessory? Accessory is not a computer. It's an extra stuff for your computer. For example, if you have an iPad, you need an Apple Pencil. So this Apple Pencil, it's not a computer. It's not the main device. That's an accessory, right? So, and when you have a lot of them, you call them accessories. So what is your headphones? Is it a main device or it's an accessory? Yes, it's an accessory for your main device. And probably your main device is your iPhone or your MacBook, right? So I use my Apple earbuds, right, with my iPad. No, I don't have an iPad. I have a Xiaomi one. So I use my earbuds with my iPhone and my computer, my iMac. So that's a very, very good accessory. Here you go. So let's finish it up. Dubai resident and enthusiast Jimmy Grewal has an impressive collection. What does it mean, impressive? Impressive means shockingly good, okay? It impresses you. It makes you happy, right? It's makes you it's making you shock, right? It makes a shock on your face, right? You see a big shock when you see this big collection because it's shockingly big, right? So impressive, it's something big. It makes you feel shocked, right? And then it makes it just changes your vibe. You know, you're not like you don't have a normal vibe. You have a crazy vibe, impressive vibe on it. So that's an impressive collection. Very big collection, other words. And there are 200 Apple computers and accessories in the collection. The next paragraph. Grewal says that his collection is very important to him. It's a snapshot into his childhood and his memories. He either owned or used all of the devices, or they were the ones that he wanted to own as a child. That's the second paragraph. So let's go step by step now. Grewal, what's the Grewal's name? You guys remember? Yeah, his name was Jimmy, right? And who was Grewal? Mr. Grewal, he was a resident, right? He is a resident and he was an enthusiast, right? The enthusiast and resident from where? From Dubai. So this Dubai resident, he says that his collection is very important to him. It's very important. My collection is very important. It's like a treasure, you know, for himself. It's a snapshot into his childhood. This is the whole construction is made just to explain the memory. Snapshot, it's like the memory point of your past. For example, if you have an album, you have different photos there, right? So idiomically speaking, your photo is a snapshot of that reality from the past. So if you have a photo, it teleports, this photo idiomically teleports you into this realia or reality when you were young, when you were a kid. It's a snapshot. It's the memory point inside of your childhood experience. Or if you imagine the big line, it's your timeline of life. And the snapshot somewhere in the past, like a little point there. And this snapshot teleports you there, and you can feel, you can smell, you can just realize yourself as a kid or a person from that particular moment of the future, of the past. So that's a snapshot into his childhood. So that collection was a snapshot into his childhood and his memories, okay? So Mr. Grewal, he either owned or used all of the devices. By the way, the word either can be used as either or either, British and American. You can mix it up, it's fine. So he either owned or used all of the devices, or they were the ones that he wanted to own as a child. So he's kind of explaining this collection, 200 Apple computers and accessories. It's his owned products, he bought them, or he used all of the devices, right? Or they were or these devices, he wanted them to own as a child, right? And that's why he had bought this, right? So he had bought these things just to create the snapshot of the past. Okay? What kind of snapshot? Snapshot of his childhood. Why he needed that snapshot? Because he wanted to feel that he owns that device as a child. So he created a snapshot. He owns the device now, and this device teleports him into his childhood when he had wanted to own the device. Does it make any sense, guys? So I hope it makes sense, because it is pretty cool. Because the same thing happens when you have your photo and you look at your photo, you look at your picture, and this picture teleports you to the place when you are a kid or a person from that particular picture, right? That was the second paragraph. So I will read this paragraph one more time for you guys. Grewal says that his collection is very important to him. It's a snapshot into his childhood and his memories. He either owned or used all of the devices, or they were the ones that he wanted to own as a child. Many of the computers in Grewal's collection weren't commercially successful. That's the beginning of the paragraph number 3. And it was a sign for him that if you keep trying, eventually you would have success that the world would remember. Very small paragraph number 3. Many of the computers in Grewal's collection weren't commercially successful. What does it mean? Apple company is pretty big and successful now. Am I right? You can say, sure, Danila, you're right. Apple company is very successful and popular nowadays. But many of the computers of Apple weren't commercially successful. They weren't good back in the days. For example, there were Windows computers, and they were like Dell computers or whatever, IBM computers, and there were Apple computers. So Apple computers were less successful, weren't commercially successful, as Microsoft products, in collaboration with IBM PCs, right? So Windows or Mr. Gates were more successful financially because he was producing only the apps and the software for the computer, right? So Apple computers weren't commercially successful, and it was a sign for our hero, for our enthusiast, Jimmy Grewal. It was just a sign for himself that if you keep trying, eventually you would have success that the world would remember. So this collection is all like a sign, like a representation of one idea, just one simple idea that is very useful for us as well, guys. This idea is pretty simple, and you can say it, right? And the idea is, if you keep trying, eventually you would have success. So Apple products were not that successful commercially, right? But now Apple's products are very, very successful commercially. And it means if you will, or if you are doing something repeatedly again and again, you would succeed. You will succeed for sure. And if you keep trying, eventually you would have success. That's the logic. So we should learn and try to learn English every day. Do it consistently. Do it step by step. And eventually, one day, we would have success. That's how it works. So step by step, gradually, you learn an English language and you becoming better and better day by day. And that the world would remember. Your history, right? Your success history. You had started in the past. You had been doing something for many, many, many days. And then you had achieved, or you have achieving it. You have been achieving it now, right? It doesn't matter. You had achieved something when you were a kid, right? You were a kid, then you had achieved something great. And now you have been learning English for how many years? 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10. It doesn't matter. As more you're doing this process, it's more bigger and more powerful you become, more strong, right? More vocabulary you can understand, more text you can read, right? More videos are pretty understandable, right? I remember myself about, from the past, before my second trip to the USA, I remember when I didn't understand anything from videos. But now, while I'm watching all my content in English, I don't have this problem anymore. Yes, I do have some complications. Sometimes I don't understand the specific content. Specific context, right? Or idiom, or just the popular saying, which I don't remember, or something new from the kids. And then I just practice it, and eventually I'm becoming better and better, and I'm getting my success, right, of understanding. As an English teacher, I have been teaching my students for more than 4 years, and what I can say, every single year I feel my power more and more. I'm becoming better and better. Yes, it was a pretty rough start, right? I had started roughly, but I had developed my body, my knowledge of language, and my emotionality, and I had became much better. And I'm still practicing, I have been practicing and learning how to teach for more than 4 years now. And it gives me a lot of energy, and I'm becoming much better than before. You can do it as well. Just do your practice every day, and one day you will become someone big with your language. All right, so we kind of ran away from our main topic. We are talking about the guy, Jimmy, remember? The Dubai resident and enthusiast with a big collection of Xiaomi pads. Of course not Xiaomi pads. Xiaomi, it's a Chinese company, but Apple is much bigger company and much more successful company from USA. And in my honest opinion, I have my own. I think that Apple products is the best electronic devices on planet Earth. I have tried many, and Apple is very good. Okay, what else I want to say? We go to this paragraph one more time just to revise it, and we'll go to the last paragraph, number 4. Many of the computers in Grewal's collection weren't commercially successful, and it was a sign for him that if you keep trying, eventually you would have success that the world would remember. Grewal will sell an Apple I computer on eBay to fund pop-up exhibitions of his collection. Last year, he was invited to an event where he met Steve Wozniak, one of the Apple's founders, who signed an original Apple I computer for him. That's the end of the paragraph number 4. Let's go step by step now. Grewal will sell an Apple I computer on eBay to fund pop-up exhibitions of his collection. So let's try to understand what is Apple I. Apple I was the first computer of Apple, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very historical. That's why it cost a lot of money. And Grewal had one, but then he sold it, right? He will sell it. What the text says, he didn't sell it. He didn't sell it. He will sell an Apple I computer on eBay to fund pop-up exhibitions. What does it mean, pop-up, right? We don't know. Something new, probably. Pop-up, it's pretty simple. It's something which is not for a long time, you know? It can be temporary, right? So temporary means not for a long time, for a short time, for a limited period of time, right? That's a pop-up exhibition. So all your exhibitions, which you have in your cities, they're not year-round, right? They are pop-up exhibitions. So 1 month you have Vladimir Pushkin's exhibition. Next month you have another exhibition. So you have different exhibitions. And his exhibition needs money. What kind of exhibition? His all 200 Apple computers and accessory exhibition. So he needed money to organize these exhibitions, right? To show his collection. And he will sell an Apple I computer on eBay to fund, to pay for all his exhibitions of his collection. Maybe he will make more money out of it, but it's like an investment probably for himself. And last year, something had happened. Last year, he was invited to an event where he met Steve Wozniak. Do you remember who was and who is Steve Wozniak? He's still alive, by the way. Steve Wozniak, one of the Apple founders. You know, there were 2 founders, right? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Steve Jobs passed away, but Steve Wozniak is still alive. So Steve Wozniak, one of the Apple founders who signed an original Apple I computer for himself. Cool, isn't it? So the idea is he got a computer, Apple I, and a very unique one because somebody important signed the computer. Who signed his computer, Apple I? Steve Wozniak did. So Steve Wozniak signed an original Apple I computer, and he got this computer probably for free, right? Maybe I'm just joking. Of course, not for free. It was his own computer probably. And he just asked Steve Wozniak to sign that computer just to make more money out of it. Because when you have just a t-shirt, it costs the value of the t-shirt, just the materials. But when you have a signature of an important person on it, for example, Ronaldo or Messi, now this t-shirt has a big value. Why? Because an important person signed it. First of all, Apple I computer was pretty historical. And then Steve Wozniak, he signed an original Apple I computer for himself. Now it costs a lot of money. For the collectors, it's a big, pricey item. Okay? So we got 2 interesting words here again. Pop-up exhibitions, and we have what do we have? Yeah, pop-up exhibitions, and we have the signed item, Apple I computer, right? Just to pay off all the expenses to organize these exhibitions. That's it. That's actually the whole story. So that was just a story note about the man who collects old Apple devices, and his collection is pretty big. Do you remember how many Apple devices he has? He has 200 Apple devices, And not just Apple computers, right? It is Apple devices like computers and accessories. What is accessory, by the way? Yeah, that's right. It's something extra for your computer, extra for your gadget. So, like your mouse or your keyboard, it's an accessory. It's not the main device. What was the guy's name? Jimmy Grewal, right? Or Growl. We don't know what's the particular word stress here. But this guy is pretty cool, isn't it? I guess so. So let's read the whole story. I'm so sorry, guys. My air conditioner is just killing my voice. I will read this mini story one more time for you, just to revise all the context. We'll try to put it all together, right? We'll try to stick it into one beautiful text. Dubai resident and enthusiast Jimmy Grewal has an impressive collection of around 200 Apple computers and accessories. Grewal says that his collection is very important to him. It's a snapshot into his childhood and his memories. He either owned or used all of the devices, or they were the ones that he wanted to own as a child. Many of the computers in Grewal's collection weren't commercially successful, and it was a sign for him that if you keep trying, eventually you would have success that the world would remember. Grewal will sell an Apple I computer on eBay to fund pop-up exhibitions of his collection. Last year, he was invited to an event where he met Steve Wozniak, one of the Apple founders, who signed an original Apple I computer for him. That's a whole story. And again, do you remember who is enthusiast? You're right. Enthusiast is a person who is very interested in a particular activity or subject, right? And what does it mean, pop-up exhibition? You're right. It means temporary. It means a limited period of time exhibition. And what is a snapshot again? Right, of course. Snapshot, it's like a photograph, right? Like a photograph that's taken quickly as a memory piece, as a transformational, teleportation gap into your future. No, not to the future, to the past, right? That's a snapshot from the past, which you can which you can jump in, right? That's a story. Okay, guys, that's all for today. That was pretty fun, I hope. So don't forget to learn English. Don't forget to listen to an English content every single day, at least 15 minutes of your own time. And you will become very powerful in English because you learn something every day. You're consistent, you're beautiful, you're amazing. And if you want to memorize all the context or all the words which we discussed today, just listen to this podcast episode again and again, and then just repeat the podcast with me altogether, right? That's all for today. And I hope, guys, to see you next time. Don't forget to visit my websites, danilabondarenko.ru, for English lessons applications. And then if you want to visit my events in Moscow, just visit emotionalenglish.ru and you reserve your seats on the upcoming events. So hope to see you next time and have an amazing time with your English practice. Have a good one. Bye-bye.